Okay, well, welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Deirdre Pickerel. I'm the Dean of Academics for Yorkville University and Toronto Film School. And on behalf of the Student Success team, I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's Ask an Expert session. Each week at this time, we welcome a community expert to present on a subject relevant to our students with the collective goal of helping them be successful throughout their programs and beyond. And I know it's not just students, we've probably got staff and faculty here, which is unbelievably amazing that we've built this community over the last several months with our Ask an Expert. So today our expert will offer brief thoughts on the topic of the day, and then we'll take questions which can be submitted through the Q&A options at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you are a regular Ask an Expert listener or participant, you'll know that just last week I learned how to disable the chat. So everybody's going to have to use the Q&A panel. I'm learning how to use this technology, Jody. So today I'm really thrilled to welcome Jody Kennett, who is speaking about personal leadership to thrive through times of uncertainty, which is a very timely topic. So Jody elevates people to lead their life, career, and business by developing their leadership skills and energizing them with peak health for performance. She is an International Coach Federation and whole person certified coach with a variety of specialty certificates to support the inner leader in becoming confident with strong leadership and communication skills. Her specializations include women's leadership, CIQ, which is the neuroscience of communication, which I think that sounds fascinating. Peak health, performance, and confidence. Jody empowers leaders, career builders, and entrepreneurs to grow themselves as a leader alongside the growth of their career or business. She coaches busy professionals to keep their life, health a priority, and coaches around the three pillars of leadership, health, and life, which create a bridge from where you are to where you want to lead yourself. Huh, I think I got that right, Jody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am going to turn it over to you. I will mute myself and monitor things, and then we'll chat again in a bit.
Okay, thank you so much, Deirdre. I'm really excited to be here with all of you and to speak about personal leadership because we need it now more than ever. And so today we're going to be talking about what personal leadership is, why we need it now more than ever, how to have it, and how it's going to help you and all of us thrive through these times. And yes, we're going to talk about how can we possibly even thrive during these uncertain times. So thrilled to be here. So let's jump right in. So first and foremost, I wanted to kind of give you a definition of a leader. I know a lot of people think leaders are leaders of a company, maybe a team or a project. But I want to say first and foremost that I believe everyone is a leader, each and every one of us. And we're leading our life, we're leading our career, our studies, maybe a business, and we're definitely leading our health. And this is going to be an important thread throughout what I talk about today. But here's the interesting thing that happened. All of us were exposed to COVID. We're exposed to change, to stress, to chaos and crisis and uncertainty. And so when that happens, what happens is there seems to be kind of this focus on everything's happening around us, everything is happening to us, things are out of control. And the shift of feels like it's an external locus of control. But when you believe you're a leader and that you have personal leadership, it brings that focus of control back to us. Doesn't mean we can control the world, but we can control our own inner world and our health, our life, and our career as much as we can. And that brings some power and some energy and some hope back to us. So first and foremost, I wanted to start with that you are a leader. Every one of us is. No matter if you're leading people, no matter if you're at the top of a company, you are a leader of your life and everything that goes with that. So let's just kind of get on the same page of what leadership is. So leadership is vision. And why do we need vision right now more than ever? When you are in the thick of circumstances or a crisis, we can just feel stuck there. And what happened to us? There was a shutdown, we got stuck in place, there was all this static energy. And then the circumstances all around us, this uncertainty of not knowing when it's going to end, we can stay really stuck. The whole energy of COVID and being shut in did that to us. And sometimes the only thing that can keep us going is having vision of a better tomorrow, of a better future. So how does this relate to you? What is your vision for your future, because sometimes that is the only pull forward. So as a leader, you're going to need to have a vision beyond today, beyond the circumstances of today, so we do not get stuck in them. A leader gives direction. And I want to say, if you're someone who isn't used to directing yourself, not many of us are, our vision often directs us. So let's just say you have a vision for your graduation or for the job you're going to get after you finish university, a vision for your family, for travel down the road. Have that vision first and foremost and let it direct you day to day. And then leaders take action. And what I want to say here with great compassion is during crisis and uncertain times, it's sometimes hard to take action. You kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to do anything today. It's the same thing. I'm stuck in home. One small action step towards your vision. I was just talking with someone yesterday. I said, what's one step towards this? And they said, you know what? I can start thinking about it. I can start just looking into it. Whatever that step is, whatever that action is, it does not need to be big. It just needs to be towards what you want, towards your vision and the direction that you want to lead yourself. And lastly, and I put both of those words on there, it's a leader knows and does. So knowing and doing what is best to lead forward. And a leader of a company would be knowing and doing what's best for their team or for their business. You need to know and do what is best for you to lead you forward. And the word doing there is important because a lot of us know what is best, but it's sometimes hard to do what is best. And that's where, accountability can come in, having someone to be accountable to, and or just stating out loud what you're going to do. There's some pressure in that as well that holds us accountable. So what is personal leadership? If a leader is someone who is leading their team to what they know will help them be successful, will help their team be healthy or productive, and also in creating the environment for them to win, personal leadership is doing that for yourself. This can be extraordinarily hard. So in personal leadership, you are your team member and you are the leader. And whether you were at school before and you were in class and someone may have said, hey, you're looking a little tired. Have you slept? Or, hey, you need a little bit more self-care, or let's go get something to eat. You might not have those external influences right now. Maybe you had a manager at work or whoever it could be, that social connection that was maybe leading you before. We don't have all of that right now. And this is why personal leadership is so important right now. If you're working from home, you don't have that coworker going, let's go for lunch, let's go have a coffee break, let's step away from it a little bit. It's been a stressful day. We don't have any of those. So now we need to give it to ourselves. And there's a huge awareness piece here about knowing what is best for you. And just the other day, I was talking to a student in New York, and they were saying, it seems so simple, but when we're in a stress state, we get knocked out of our routine. And what came up was, before I was bopping around and, I naturally saw people and this happened and that happened. I don't have any of that anymore. And what came out of it is this person realized what they needed to be at their best. And one of the elements that came out of that was before they just naturally run into people socially or, have some connection or have some good conversation. And what came out of it is they said, now we need to be consciously intentional with connecting to people. It's not natural anymore. And so this person set things in place and did the personal leadership of going, I'm going to reach out to this person and that person. I'm going to create a little community weekly. So that's just one example of personal leadership and how really COVID and this whole pandemic has shifted things where we now need to be more aware of what our needs are because they're not happening naturally for us. And we need to reset ourselves up with a new environment. I'm going to be talking about environment. I did include Stephen Covey's note here about what he says personal leadership is. It's the process of keeping your vision and values before you and aligning your life and everything to be congruent with them. So powerful kind of definition there. We can't talk about personal leadership and uncertainty without talking about what just happened to all of us and understanding a little bit about the science behind it. And I really wanted to say here, because a lot of us think that we're doing okay, and a lot of us are kind of pushing through and we're mustering through. I'm guilty of that. I do that too. And we don't realize it kind of catches up to us. We don't realize what's happening to our body and brain with all the stress that's happening. So let me just give you an overview. I know some of you know this, but I'll just give you a quick kind of synopsis of what's happening. So when your brain is in stress, it goes into a natural fight, flight, or freeze, and there is an appease mode as well. When that happens, there's all kinds of hormones and chemicals that are pumping through our body that are actually getting our body ready for alertness, to be alert, to be in alarm state, to run, to hide, whatever it may be. Those hormones are pumping through us. And if they stay chronic, and if we keep pushing through, there's huge fatigue with that. There's a huge strain on our internal organs and systems. And then on the brain, equally important, when we're in a stress state, our executive functions in our prefrontal cortex don't function as well, and they can even shut down. So what happens are in those functions, we have our decision making, we have strategy, we have vision there, we have empathy there. We also have, the ability to make decisions. So if that is hampered because of stress and long-term stress, we're not going to have the same ideas or innovation. And just the other day, I was working with someone around her career, and we went through, and she kind of has an urgent decision to make and a stressful decision. And so she went through all her options. And I realized she was kind of, in that stress state. And even talking to someone can kind of induce stress. What do I have to say? How do I have to look? And so what I did is we took all the senses out, and so that she could just go within, and took her through kind of a calming system and process for her nervous system. And what happened by calming the nervous system, and I'll give you some ideas on how to do that. Afterwards, when we talked about what came up, all of a sudden a new idea came up that didn't have anything to do with the previous ideas. And she said, this is the idea that feels right. So the brain, taking the brain out of stress, can help you think better, focus better, problem solve, get more clarity. And that's why I put on here, if you want to thrive and you're a leader and you're mustering through, and I'm that person too, we're just strong, we can go through it, and you're in a stress state, we can't lead effectively in a stress state. We need to do things throughout our day to calm our nervous system. And yes, it's a daily process, because, there's different things throughout the days that can cause stress, and we need to manage that. So let's go into some of the things you can do here. So on the left bottom corner of the screen there's all different ideas. Take some that work for you. I'll just highlight a few. They're free, they're easy. Getting out in nature bathing, it's been proven to change the chemistry of our brain, to ground our body, to bring us into a calm state. Getting out in the wilderness, just, I'm in the city, but there's a trail nearby, and every time I walk through it, all of a sudden, the worries of the day, the stress of the day, they're gone. Blue Mind, some of you may not have heard of this. Wallace J. Nichols is the creator of this, but our brain in stress is red mind, and all the things that go with that, the alarm state, the fight or flight. Blue mind happens when we are on, near, around, or in water. And it doesn't have to be the ocean. It can be a lake, a river, a stream. When you go in a spa, you hear the trickling sound of water. It's for a reason. It changes the brainwaves. It changes our stress state. So even having a fountain in your home or your workspace can really help be a calming influence. The other one I wanted to highlight here, which many people are starting to know about, it may be new for you, is heart math. We have the ability, by focusing on a positive emotion like compassion, love, empathy, gratitude, focusing on a positive emotion, a positive thought, and with breath work, to bring our physiology, our mind, and our emotion into coherence and it's scientifically proven to calm the body. So you can take a look at HeartMath. I think it's heartmath.org maybe to take a look at it. There's all different exercises here. Breathing for a minute, for 5 minutes. And what I want to say here is closing your eyes, being still is one of the best things you can do to get rid of the stimulation of the day. The stimulation of distractions, of digital interaction is so important. And the last, there's a few other ones there you can go through, but one I really wanted to highlight, to calm the nervous system, sometimes it's as simple as removing the sources of stress. And I want to talk about how reactionary we all are. Maybe you guys have noticed it's a bit heightened. There's a lot going on in the world. That's not the only reason that we are more reactionary right now. We're all in a state of stress. Some of us are coming out of it, some at different degrees. But one social media post, one picture, one word, one sentence in a video, watching a debate this time of year, that can all get us revved up. And just removing those, yes, you can be engaged and informed, but if it is having a negative impact on you and affecting your health, affecting your mind state, if it's taking you down, you need to manage those. Just remove those, have less of them, monitor it, whatever it may be. And then the last ones, they're just simply, having social connection. I know we're isolated right now, but that one student that I talked to, what they set up was, I'm just going to reach out to them. I'm going to set up a weekly appointment with them, or just reach out to more people. And because we're socially isolated, even just creating some opportunities for interaction can be really supportive. So how does this tie into personal leadership? We need to lead the optimization of our body and brain and take it into that calm state. What are ways you can do that? Managing your energy. I do a lot of work around peak energy and performance, like Deirdre said. And what I want to say here is there's a lot of energy out, studying all day, working all day. What energy input do you have? And this is a big one. And there's some great science on this around Olympians, around athletes. They have recovery. What's happening for students, for people who work all day, we're not having the energy input. We're not having the periodization of go, 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 and then retreat and relax. So you need to manage your energy daily and have energy input for you, whatever that looks like. I want to talk about managing our emotions here a little bit. We've all had that happen. We have strong opinions, strong beliefs, things that we're passionate about, and we can see something in the news and it can take us out for the day where we've got this kind of like anger, like, I can't believe that. Did you hear what that person said? And we need to kind of give ourselves a grace period, maybe half hour, whatever that is, but we need to manage it so it doesn't impact our entire day, our entire energy, and our health, really. Environment, this is so important around being stuck at home or working from home. Create an environment that kind of inspires you. I don't know, have pictures of your vision on your wall, or, I have aromatherapy going right now, so I'm nice and alert and ready to go for you, whatever it may be. If you're an outdoor person and you can't get outside because of winter, bring some greenery inside. I don't know, but your environment, what's going to make it great for you? I want to talk about mindset really quickly and give you an example here. When we are in stress, our brain does its job. And let me tell you what its job is. When we're in a stress state, our brain's job is to look for problems, to look for what is wrong, to focus on what is wrong so it can fix it, and to anticipate threats. That is exhausting. Just thinking about it. And our brain is going to stay there. Our mindset, we need to manage it to go to, okay, what is happening good in today? What do I want to focus on? What is something positive? Where do I want to lead myself? Okay, all this stress is happening over here. What's a vision that I can keep in my mind that's going to be positive for me? So that's what I mean by managing your mindset. And the last two go hand in hand. Managing our time throughout the day. This has to do with blocking. I want to say something here, and I've played around with this a lot. If you're working all day, before I was like, no, I have to work 9 to 6, just like you would at work. Can't take a break till the end of the day or before the work day. Now, if you're working from home or studying from home, go for that walk at lunch break. Do what you need and block times in the day where there's a break from all the intensity, a break from work or studying. And the managing your day is really going, do I need to change a scenery? What do I need in the day and what's going to be best for me? When is my most productive time? Sleep, all those kinds of things. So lastly here, I wanted to give you a framework called Lead Me. And you take a snapshot or pause on this and go through this as an exercise for yourself to help lead yourself through some of the things we've talked about today. So the first one, I'll list what you need to be at your best in body, mind, and mood. Those are 3 different areas. What do you need? Because I am finding so many leaders, I'm going to say 100%. We'd get on a coaching call and they'd go, okay, we're going to talk about this. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, what I need to talk about is I don't have any self-care right now. I'm just in a stress state. So everyone that I've been working with through COVID, we've needed to do this with a pause, a reflection. What do I need to be at my best in body, in mind, and mood? The E's for energy. What is draining you? You may need to get rid of some things that are going to be hard to get rid of or manage those. And what will give you energy? This is key, the infusion back into your day. And I want to say around energy, it doesn't have to be all this. Sometimes a reinfusion of energy is being time, is just being still. The other day I was talking to someone and we had a good chuckle. She goes, okay, I'll rest today. I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to make a list of this. And I said, well, that's doing something still. And then afterwards she said, I have to report back in. I didn't do anything. I was still, I wasn't, it wasn't about accomplishing or achieving. It was about allowing the body to just be in stillness and silence and to rest. Okay. So energy can be an infusion of rest. The A is for action. We talked about action earlier in leadership, taking one small step forward around what you need or around what your energy needs are. If you did that today and emailed me and said, hey, I did this today, awesome. It's about taking one small step towards what your needs are, self-care, whatever, towards your health, your energy, and to being your best. And D, this was so important. A lot of people, we've been bumped out of our routine, out of our structure. We need to direct our focus towards your vision, towards what you want. Because when you're in a crisis or certain circumstances, we need to direct our focus to what we do want, to the vision we are leading ourselves to. And then the last two there, the ME for Lead Me, the Manage Your Day, which we talked about. And then E is about environment and emotional well-being. This is something we need daily. And it's really about what is your environment. Environment has to do with the people you surround yourself with. It could be the culture of your company, culture of any other organization you belong to, as well as your workspace at home, your study space. And then the emotional well-being, we really do need to all attend to that daily, now more than ever. And just to finish off here, I wanted to say that thriving is a state that we create. And I know it may seem, out of reach. It may seem Pollyanna a little bit to go, we can thrive during all this. Yes, what thriving is it's being at your best and creating that thriving environment for you to succeed. It doesn't mean you're going to thrive right in this moment. It's about setting yourself up. And thriving really does begin in exactly what we talked about today. It begins in the details of our day, the energy we embody, the thoughts we think, and even the actions we take day to day. So it is personal. What would make me thrive might not make you thrive. You need to look at what would help you thrive. And that is the question I want to leave you with is what will help you to thrive through these times? What do you need? So I'm really excited to just have shared all this with you. And now I'd love to hear your questions.
Wow, Jody, thank you so much. I've got pages of notes, but the first thing that really made me giggle was most recently you said Pollyanna, and I use that term too. And then I often think, does anybody understand that reference? Like, because I know it from the Disney movie with Haley Mills, like a long time ago, right?
Maybe we're dating ourselves.
Oh, no, of course not. No, not at all, Jody. But if you're not sure what we're talking about, when we talk about Pollyanna, Google it. It's an old Disney movie. It's great, but it's old, and I didn't watch it when I was a kid. No. Um, so as Jody mentioned, we're now really excited to hear from you. So please use the Q&A panel at the bottom of your Zoom screen if you've got any questions. Jody's with us for another few minutes or so. Jody, one of the things that really stood out for me is a real theme here. When I think when we think about leadership, we think about all of this external stuff. We're going to go lead things, whatever that may be. But you're really talking about self-care. You're really talking about starting within. And if we're not really taking care of ourselves, can we actually be present to lead, whether it's ourselves or us? So that's a real takeaway for me is the real importance of that self-care and putting ourselves first, because that kind of sets you up to really help and lead others, right?
Absolutely.
So somebody says they know what Pollyanna is.
Yay, we're not the only ones.
We're not the only ones. So yeah, so that's good. Thanks, Deanna. So so the other thing that I think really stood out for me, Jody, as we wait for some questions to pop in, I think probably people are doing a lot of thinking right now, is I really like the notion of, I hadn't heard these terms before, nature bathing and blue mind and heart math. I'd never really heard of these terms before. Obviously, we get told a lot, go for a walk or go for, go sit by the water or whatever, but it actually has, it sounds to me like what you're saying is this is actually, it's not only rooted in what we believe it to be true, but people have studied this. We have scientific evidence that this will make life better or help us with some of these tasks. Do you think nature bathing need to be around, like you mentioned, a trail? Is walking in the city, for those of us that can't perhaps get into the get anywhere where there's a park, is it really being about outside and feeling the air on your face and that sort of stuff?
Yes, it is. Yeah, nature bathing can be in a park, it can be in a green space, it can be on a short trail. Anything where you are now, if you're on your phone walking through the trail, that's going to defeat the purpose. But if you are in, surrounded by trees, in green space, just out in nature, it's going to have a positive effect. And I actually think the University of Victoria a few years back implemented, they actually did a few things. They brought in dog walking with people the ability to go out on trails, because they were showing it's having effects to decrease anxiety, decrease depression, as well as obviously calming stress, managing stress.
Wow, that's fascinating. We need to connect with the SPCA to borrow dogs for walking, right? Although I think with COVID, all the dogs that were in the shelters have been adopted, right? Exactly. We all went and got pets. So anyways, we'll have to, that might be a business opportunity on this side. So one of our attendees is asking about energy input and how do you connect with a client who is constantly on the go pleasing others, so has so much difficulty in being kind to themselves and taking those moments? What kind of stress? So it might be one of our student in one of our counseling program.
Yeah, that's a great question. And for so many people around giving to others and people pleasing, first and foremost, the person who is experiencing that needs to recognize for themselves and want to have the energy themselves. And so it would be about leading them to, okay, what do you need here? Is the people pleasing draining you and having an effect on you? So they would need to recognize that first, and then also be aware of that they're people pleasing and giving to others is depleting their own energy. And with people pleasers, the self-care piece, they are going to feel selfish giving to themselves. This is conditioning. It's long-term conditioning. Being a former recovering people pleaser and giving to others, I know. And so with someone like that, what you're going to need to do is give them a challenge to try some of it and realize that if their motivation is to be giving to others, or if their job or career or their circumstances in life is making them give to others, you're going to need to bring it back to, if you infuse more in yourself, you're going to be able to give more to others. And the best analogy I ever saw was at a conference, and they had a bowl up front, and they had a jug, and they were pouring the jug of water, and they're like, okay, this is for this person, and this is for that, and this is for this other person. And then they showed at the end, there's nothing left. There's nothing left in you. That jug is empty. How does that make you feel? And how is that impacting your life? And how do you want to feel? And it's about, what are you going to put back in that jug to fill yourself back up? But with someone who's really stuck in probably the people pleasing, they need to know that they're going to be able to give more if they give to themselves. It's the old oxygen mask. Put your oxygen mask on first so you can help others more.
Absolutely. And I think what was really powerful there, Jody, was that notion that probably one of the first things that these folks are going to experience is selfishness, right? That's going to have to be a focus too, I would think, to make sure that they understand that sometimes it's okay to be selfish, but that's an uncomfortable place for people pleasers to be. I love the notion of being a recovering people pleaser. We'll have to talk later.
And one thing I have to say there is self-care is not selfish. It's actually the reverse. It is it's the least selfless thing you can do. And people pleasers need to know that.
Yeah.
And they need to know if they don't, they'll lead themselves to burnout.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And then they're no good to anybody, right? Including themselves.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time, but I've got another question for you. Would you say that even entertainment, walk, self-care should actually be scheduled into a diary to kind of force the...
Absolutely. And I would suggest the first thing.
Okay.
As a priority. So if your values are health, or you're trying to put a focus on health, those should be in there right away. And I have to say this because it's really funny. There was someone I was working with, a leader in a company, and she said, well, it's in my schedule digitally, and all I have to do is drop, drag, and delete. So you cannot have that philosophy that your self-care or your health or what is a drop, drag, and delete. It needs to be a commitment. There needs to be something firmer with that. And there needs to be strict boundaries around it's not moving. Nothing's going to come in the way of that. Nothing is more important than that. No drop, drag, or delete allowed.
I love that, drop, drag, or delete. I love that. You know what just personally, Jody, I know we're running out of time, but what I started doing is every morning I commit to exercising, and it's hard to try to find that time when you think you're so busy. So I started with 15 minutes. If I can't find 15 minutes to walk on the treadmill, do a YouTube video, something like, do a bit of yoga, then that's because, some people try to say I can't exercise, I can't do any of this because I need an hour or an hour and a half. But actually, if you can start with maybe small increments of time, then not only will you slowly see the benefit, see that you're kind of worth it, and then maybe you'll be able to grab a little bit. You said that right at the beginning, and you said that through one small action step in the right direction. So we could think really, really small, right?
Absolutely.
Jody, if you don't mind, we'll just do one more question. I do know that we're really kind of out of time, but I think this is something that I'd like to share. This really touches me. This one comment is so thank you for your time from our attendee. And I've tried some of these methods for self-care and keeping myself positive and motivated in order to have time for myself and to take the baby steps toward getting my vision. But honestly, this pandemic and quarantine is getting longer and longer, and I'm finding myself losing hope. And I think being hopeful is really vital in order to fight daily. So that just tore at my heart a little bit from one of our attendees. What suggestions do you have for staying hopeful in these kinds of conditions?
Well, thank you for asking that. That is such an important question. And I think so many of us are feeling that way. So to have hope, what's really important is to know that we are all going to get through this. And I know it may not seem it. I know it's getting long, but hope comes from that vision of a better tomorrow. And I'm just going to share this quick scenario. There was someone who reached out to me from completely different country, and they didn't have the money and they wanted coaching. And I said yes. And I didn't know why. I was just so proud that they said they didn't have funds and they needed help. And what came out of it is this person had been exposed to some health conditions, and what it led her to was saying, there's no hope. But in this interaction of reaching out to someone, of talking to someone, of releasing her worries to someone, and to sharing, this is where I do want to go. This is what I am working towards. What came out of that connection and that debriefing was one other person who validated how she was feeling, who allowed her to speak, who just connected to what's going on. The releasing of all the worries, speaking about it truthfully, like you just did in the question, she said it gave her hope. And so in a time where we're socially isolating, a couple things I want to say is connect with someone really, really real. Share everything on your mind, support one another. But in that, we need a vision of a better day, a better tomorrow, a better future. And even though it's getting long, earlier I said, the circumstances we're in can hold us so tight to the current circumstances. We really need to keep our eyes on, okay, it can be better. And I know that seems so simple, but what I would say is have that support person or someone, a complete stranger like I was to this person, and really be real with them and get support, reach out for that. Yeah. And then have that, you need that future goal or that future vision. And the one last thing she said, I really need support right now. I really need positive energy. Surround yourself with those people who are going to help bring hope. Whoever that is, surround yourself with that. That's that environment of hope. Start and a gratitude practice. I know people always say this, but there even in a pandemic, there are beautiful things happening. There are people leading us forward. So whoever you are, reach out to me or someone, and there is hope. I promise you that. Okay.
Yeah. Jody, and I just want to remind, that one attendee, but as well as all of our Yorkville University and Toronto Film School students, that we do have a mental health and wellness department. And so we do have counselors that are available to meet with you one-on-one. And we have also formed several, over the last few months, peer support groups. So this could be a peer, a group of you coming together with the support of a mental health professional to just talk about all of these things, our anxieties, our worries. But I kind of like the notion of a hope group. Why couldn't we have instead of an anxiety group, why couldn't we have a hope group where really we want to come and talk about all the things that maybe we're hopeful for and we're grateful for, and perhaps there's no better time for that given that it's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. We might have people from around the world watching. So Jody, thank you so very much for your time today. This was absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it, and I know all of our attendees were really excited about your talk today. Remember, everyone, we were live streaming on YouTube. Honestly, I never thought in my life I'd ever say I was live on a live stream on YouTube, but here I am.
Thanks for having me.
You can watch it again and again if you want. So I really appreciate you, Jody. I might call you again and see if we could talk you into coming back. You've obviously got so much wisdom to share to our community. In the meantime, I'm really excited to let everybody know that next week we get to do all this again. And next week we're welcoming Dr. Catherine Heinel, who's going to discuss student life, grief, and COVID, navigating the loss of anticipated experiences, which will probably be pretty interesting. So Jody, thank you again. I owe you a debt. This was absolutely fantastic.
My pleasure.
Be well, be safe, and happy Thanksgiving all. Have a great, great weekend. Take good care.